This is CBC Vancouver News.
You're always in our heart.
Stand up and be acknowledged, everyone. Born of the
Way too many.
Bereaved families who have lost their loved ones to the overdose crisis gather to reflect and grieve as ceremonies are held across BC to mark International Overdose Awareness Day. Also,
paying quite a bit of money for our place.
And how much is that?
It's $2,100 a month.
For a one-bedroom.
a call for more student housing in BC as post-secondary students struggle to find affordable housing options. And
this just felt devastating because there was hundreds of dead fish.
Nelson residents shocked to find a number of dead fish in a dried out creek. Now the city is investigating what went wrong. Hello, thanks for joining us. Today is International Overdose Awareness Day. It's being marked with ceremonies across BC. Here in Vancouver, a drum circle and community barbecue was held to honor the lives of those who have died due to the toxic drug crisis. The CBC's Benit Brach heard from those remembering, reflecting, and calling for more change.
Moments of grief, solace, and strength mark International Overdose Awareness Day in Vancouver's Oppenheimer Park. Eric Daniel honors his late son, Jared.
I remember his smile and his kind heart, his big heart, and his bright eyes, and how happy he was. Sometimes it's people just even having fun for a weekend, and he experimented. And yeah, unfortunately, I lost him.
It's been 9 years since BC declared the toxic drug crisis a public health emergency. Since then, the BC Coroner Service reports it's claimed more than 16,000 lives.
You're always in our heart.
Stand up and be acknowledged, everyone. Born of the
Way too many.
The community here remembering people whose deaths they say could have been prevented.
I want safe supply, I want harm reduction supplies, I want it decrimmed.
Advocates here continue to push for more solutions after a drug decriminalization program was rolled back last year, and the province ended take-home safer supply for drug users in February.
It can't be partisan. We need to have all the tools available, more harm reduction services and more detox and treatment services.
In the latest BC Coroner's report, toxic drug death numbers have been showing a slight downward trend. In May, 145 overdose deaths were recorded compared to 181 the same time last year. In June, 147 overdose deaths were recorded, down from 185 last year. But advocates remain cautious of the drug supply and the crisis gripping BC for years. The province says it's encouraging to see the rate slowing, but the crisis remains a top priority, and that it's taking action with more investments in mental health and addictions care from prevention to recovery. BC's health minister says the work is not easy, but it's starting to make a difference. Here, as loved ones are remembered, many also hope to break the stigma.
There are tools available to keep you alive. Inject the syringe usually into thigh or upper arm and watch it reverse the effects of an opioid overdose.
Education and awareness, they hope, can be a step closer to a future free of overdoses. Benit Brach, CBC News, Vancouver.
Thousands of post-secondary students in the province are set to return to class this week, but as Saurabh Sandhu reports, students continue to struggle to find affordable housing, and they say it's in part due to a lack of available on-campus beds.
Days before the school year begins, fourth-year university student Joyce Z is moving into her UBC campus housing.
That's definitely a relief for me.
But she says securing student housing isn't easy. She was on a wait list for 3 years.
Well, I definitely appreciate not having to wake up so early to go to classes and worry about missing the bus, because My classes are all within walking distance.
UBC says 14,000 students are living on campus this year, with another 7,000 on a wait list. C says living off campus was challenging.
Everything that was close to campus was, say, $2,500 a month, which for a student is completely unreasonable.
Experts say rents are beginning to ease in some major cities due to increased supply and slower immigration. According to a July report by Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, Vancouver saw the biggest drop in rents, nearly 5% in the first quarter of this year. But some students say they are still struggling to find affordable housing.
We are paying quite a bit of money for our place.
And how much is that?
It's $2,100 a month.
For a one-bedroom.
This student advocate says a lack of affordable housing options for students is a province-wide problem.
The issue of students accessing housing is less about availability and it's more about affordability. Students are having to work multiple jobs just to be able to afford housing.
One SFU professor believes the student housing shortage comes down to funding constraints.
The institutions themselves may be interested in developing housing for their students, but then they may not necessarily be able to access the kind of financial tools that, say, nonprofit or for-profit developers are able to use to really finance these projects.
Yan says the province could look at collaborating with external partners,
where private-public partnerships could come into play, that this is where you work with the private sector to develop student housing.
The province says since 2018, it has committed $2 billion to expand on-campus student housing at public post-secondary institutions throughout BC. They say to date, there are 6,100 beds for students with another 4,600 underway. Saurabh Chandoo, CBC News, Surrey.
On Stewart Lake in the village of Tachi, west of Prince George, the smokehouses are filled with salmon. It's the first time in decades the village has seen this many sockeye return. And as Hannah Peterson reports, the community is celebrating a return of both salmon and culture.
We're just excited for the community to be able to, have their smokehouses running and going and flowing. And, and everybody practicing our culture again.
In Tachi, a village of the Clasden Nation on the northwest shore of Stewart Lake, sockeye salmon are coming back to their spawning grounds in full force. And for the first time in decades, the village's smokehouses are filled with hundreds of fish.
We don't want our children to learn that fish come from the back of a truck.
We call that a Jew.
One of the smokehouses belongs to Elder Margaret Mattis, who's been busy preparing salmon and sharing traditional ways with her whole family.
This is what our ancestors did, and we're still doing it right now. So we're carrying it on and we're still passing it on to other people.
Last year, her smokehouse saw just 15 fish. This year, over 200 in 1 week.
It's been wonderful because, in recent years, there's been such a shortage that we didn't not only get our fish, but we didn't have the social time together because we didn't need to.
Margaret's son Don says he's also been able to teach his own 4-year-old daughter about smoking salmon.
My grandparents showed me, then my parents showed me, and now I'm showing my little girl the same things, eating the same foods and preparing it the same way that they did.
Louisa Alexis is a residential school survivor. Despite being in her 60s, she just started learning how to prepare salmon 10 years ago. She says this year's abundance of fish is an answered prayer.
I feel like a woman again, a Takat woman. And I was very happy with the run. Everyone up here is very happy with the salmon coming back.
She says she's grateful to be able to practice her culture and is cherishing every minute.
I think about all the ancestors when I'm in the smokehouse. It gives me a peace and a calmness and pride knowing I'm doing the same thing they're doing.
Haskell says while the overall mood in the community is one of celebration, they are also deeply honoring the salmon's return. Hannah Peterson, CBC News, Prince George.
The city of Nelson is investigating after one of its 3 water supply creeks ran dry, killing a number of fish. Officials say the incident at Anderson Creek last week was in part because it had to shut off the city's main drinking water source for emergency repairs and divert water from the creek. But it came as a shock to some locals.
There were some pools that just had, the size of a saucepan. That would have, 2 or 3 or more fish in it. So we just transferred them to some of the larger pools with the hope that that will extend their chance to survive until the water comes back down the creek. But this just felt devastating because there was hundreds of dead fish.
In a press release Friday, the city said the creek ran dry for 6 hours, and due to a number of unanticipated factors, including high residential water consumption, the amount of water flow that was left to supply Anderson proved to be inefficient. Holowaychuk believes city officials should have alerted residents about the incident. The city says environmental consultants, biologists, and regulatory officials are investigating. A wildfire has led to evacuation alerts and closures for the popular Bugaboo Provincial Park in the East Kootenays. The BC Wildfire Service says the Silver Basin fire is burning just southeast of the park at an estimated 150 hectares in size.
We have an area restriction in place that borders the edge of the park, and we ask that people stay out. Because when people go into area restrictions, it takes resources away from our firefighting efforts.
BC Parks says the fire is growing quickly and it anticipates closures of more sections of the park. Gracefo says the fire is suspected to have been sparked by lightning. She says the Southeast Fire Center has seen an increase in fire activity with 10 new fire starts over the last 24 hours. A special air quality statement has also been issued for parts of BC due to wildfire smoke. It covers the Peace River, Fort Nelson, and Chilcotin areas. The hot, dry weather making it feel quite humid today. We even saw some thunderstorms in Metro Vancouver. As we can see here on our CBC tower cam just hours ago, lightning lit up the sky above Vancouver. Lightning strikes also being reported in areas like White Rock, Langley, Port Coquitlam, Pitt Meadows, and Maple Ridge. Let's take a look now at our fire danger map. A lot of orange and red signifying high and extreme fire danger with those dry conditions across the province. That dryness is going to continue for the days ahead. As we can see here, lots of high temperatures, 36 in Kamloops for tomorrow, 32 in Kelowna. On the island, Victoria, you're looking at a 21, so much cooler on the island with a mix of sun and clouds, and more cloud coverage into Fino with a high of 18. And into our 5-day forecast for Metro Vancouver, 23 is our high for Monday, 24 with a little less cloud coverage on Tuesday, so it's going to feel a lot hotter on Tuesday, heading into Wednesday for a high of 25. A man has died after police say he was hit by a car on Lougheed Highway in Maple Ridge late last night. It happened near the intersection of 203rd Street just after 11 o'clock. There, police found a male pedestrian who had been hit by a vehicle. He died later in hospital. RCMP say the driver in an SUV remained on the scene of the crash and is cooperating with police. Lougheed Highway was closed in both directions for several hours Saturday night, but has since reopened. An amusement park ride that was part of a BC touring fair is closed over the long weekend as investigations continue into the death of a worker. Witnesses say that part of the fair's twirling zipper ride hit a man during its opening night in Prince Rupert around 10:40 on August 26. The carnival operator, Shooting Star Amusement, says the worker who died was a dear close friend and a great man. The zipper ride won't be running during the fair's next stop in Terrace. The fair has also given some specific safety instructions going forward. Technical Safety BC's investigation into the case is ongoing. A wildfire triggers a new evacuation order in the Northwest Territories. We'll bring you the latest where locals are prepared for the worst in case blaze worsens. A second community in the Northwest Territories is now being evacuated as the wildfire threat there grows. Hundreds of people in Fort Providence are being told to get out while it's still safe to do so. A wildfire nearby exploded in size overnight and is now burning within 2 kilometers of the community's edge. The fear is winds could push it even closer tonight. The CBC's Juanita Taylor reports.
The evacuation came in the morning as smoke became visible on the horizon.
It's just really red, big red, and you could just hear it going like that. It sounds scary.
You ever seen something like that before?
No, not right close.
Residents told to flee to Hay River, a 180-kilometer drive, some brought in by bus. So when they told you to evacuate this morning, what did you do?
I just jumped right up and packed up right away. No, I already packed up, but I was like checking, make sure everything was closed and locked the door.
Those who made it to the evacuation center uncertain of what will come next.
There's a pretty good chance that it could reach the edge of the community tonight if the weather forecast does pan out as it is expected to.
The host town of Hay River itself has gone through evacuations of its own, 3 since 2022.
We've went through many evacuations and have seen communities step up, whether it's in the Northwest Territories or in the South. It puts a lot of stresses on communities, but we're in good shape. We're in good shape to host.
While residents have been told to get out, there are people working to protect Fort Providence, setting up sprinklers and water cannons, trying to soak the edge of the community to prevent the flames from getting any closer, all in hopes of protecting homes so that people will have something to go back to. Juanita Taylor, CBC News, Hay River, Northwest Territories.
Alberta's premier is halfway through a series of town halls. The topic, Alberta's relationship with the rest of Canada. Sam Sampson looks at what's being said.
From warm welcomes,
how's my favorite premier in the history of all of Alberta,
to pointed pushback.
All of these videos seem like propaganda.
This group is carrying out a provincial tour aimed at getting feedback on Alberta's sovereignty. Ideas the Premier says could become referendum questions.
It's remarkable. These panels are covering a huge number of policies.
This political scientist suggests the panels could catch all of Canada's attention if Alberta puts national issues on the ballot.
If the stuff that comes out of this process focuses more on core institutions, things like the Senate, I think this is where it's going to start to register a little bit more with other Canadians.
But then there's the question of even being Canadian.
I'm personally hoping that these topics discussed tonight here are preparing us for separation down the road.
If you speak to Donald Trump, please ask him for asylum for people like myself who are hardworking Albertans.
I support Alberta sovereignty within a united Canada. I have, though, said that if either of the petition campaigns get enough signatures, that we absolutely will put it on the ballot.
Alberta laws allow voters to pose referendum questions if they can get enough support. There are 2 campaigns on separation alone. One group wants to ask, do you agree that the province of Alberta shall become a sovereign country and cease to be a province in Canada? Alberta's court system will test the constitutionality of that question this fall before it can gather signatures.
Would you like to sit down?
Enough of this nonsense.
The second petition is already out there. They're asking,
do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada?
There is no way that I want us to leave. I think if we leave, then we're prime real estate for whatever's happening in the United States.
The second half of the Alberta Next panels will focus mainly on the southern part of the province, where Albertans hope their ideas gain traction with the Premier. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Edmonton.
Still to come, is it cause for celebration or a pause to reflect? An AI bot is coming to the classroom at Simon Fraser University. We'll tell you how students and faculty are reacting. That's next. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC inbox.
Join CBC's Dan Burrett on September 24th at Dakota's signature fundraising event, the Team Trivia Challenge, supporting Literacy Month in BC. Register your team at dakota.ca. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC's e-newsletter at cbc.ca/Vancouver inbox and keep connected with us.
Now to an AI first here in Canada. Simon Fraser University is launching a new course where the prof will be assisted by a bot named Kia. The class is Ethics in Technology. Mira Baines shows us why the subject is so timely.
Let me introduce you to Kia, who'll be in the class with me.
Meet Kia, considered a high-end digital persona. Simon Fraser University professor Steve DiPaolo is her creator and has been researching artificial intelligence for 25 years.
And it's real now. So I think there's a notion of how to do it right and how not to do it right. And we don't fully know how to do that. So at least getting up on stage with a Kia and trying it live is a good thing.
This 3D AI bot will soon interact with students to help teach a course about AI and ethics. The university says it's a first in the field.
I'm here to augment discussions and deepen understanding of how AI impacts our lives today and in the future.
He says using someone who doesn't look like him is to spark discussion.
I think I went a little bit controversial so the class can think and react to it.
But Kia will not be grading or assessing students. He says AI has gotten a bad rap and can be used to help people turn ideas into reality.
There's a number of people who can't do that last mile. They can't paint, they can't do a film, but they have this idea in their head, and the AI can actually help finish that off for it.
There is mixed reaction to its use in classrooms.
I think it can be a useful tool if it's regulated. And I think it's also a crutch for a lot of professors who, if they don't want to put in the work, can get AI to help them make their lectures or their schedules.
We're going to see it all over healthcare. We're going to see it in all different regions and areas. So I think it's important to know what its limitations are.
The concept of human AI collaborations in the field of education is controversial.
It's a slippery slope, obviously, right? I mean, you say, well, it's not a teacher, but a year or two from now, it maybe will be a teacher. We'll start replacing human teachers.
Still, Kia will soon be meeting students.
My role is purely to support discussions about AI, while the human experts guide the learning experience.
Some are hoping it will stay that way. Mira Baines, CBC News, Surrey.
That is your late news for Sunday, August 31st. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. For news anytime, visit our website at cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1. That starts tomorrow morning at 5:30. Good night.